How are superintendents chosen? In this video, I'm going to talk to you about exactly what to look for, the different steps that you'll take, and I'm going to color this in a way where you really get the right fit and not head in a direction where your job site is left leaderless. So if you're into that, you've come to the right place. So this has been a subject that not only is searched a lot on Google and YouTube, but it's also a subject that has been coming up quite a bit. Here's what has been happening. There are lots of companies that hire a superintendent and they're like, experience. And then the superintendent will come out on the job site and basically want to be the lead foreman on the job site, right? And solve problems and dig into issues and spend most of their time doing that while the project is leaderless and the systems are not working and the job site environment is not being set up for success. So this is, let me paint a picture, and this is quite remarkable. A foreman is the lead worker on a crew, but a superintendent is not the lead foreman on a job site. Let me explain. The foremen are there to, the last planners are there to really make sure that everything is built well in the short interval inside their work package with their knowledge and experience, okay? That is their job. They do not need a superintendent telling them their job. They do not need a superintendent solving their problems. They do not need a superintendent writing their RFIs. The superintendent is not the lead foreman. The superintendent is a process-driven, systems-oriented professional that is there to synchronize the entire job site into an operating system. That is what the superintendent is there to do. And if the superintendent is trying to do foreman type things, experience, materials, how to put it together, then he or she is not spending time on what is the rhythm, what is the collaborative meeting structure, how is the team being put together, what is the environment that I have to control to let trade partners do their best work. So this is a problem. So you have a superintendent that has experience that is now out of role doing foreman's work as the senior most foreman, not controlling the environment, not implementing processes, not implementing the system. And so there's a lot of superintendents that would probably be a little bit upset at me for this because they're like, do you diminish my experience? No, I don't diminish your experience, but that is not the most important thing. Anybody can go do something and gain experience. Anybody can go play helicopter parent with a trade partner. Anybody can get out of role. Only the best can learn the processes and the systems and build a team. That is the purpose of a superintendent. So I had a conversation with a really trusted professional and colleague the other day talking about what should our approach be. And Kevin and I were both like, hey, experience is a little bit important. You're going to want somebody with some experience in construction, right? Whether it's 5 years, it's not, I would say about 25% of what the industry asks from an experience standpoint is probably all you need. What we really need is a knowledge of the processes and the systems. And so what counsel we gave to this individual was, let's be looking for cultural fit. Let's be looking for a growth mindset. Let's be looking for the ability and willingness and desire to learn and implement these systems. That's what we should be looking for, and we should be hiring more from within, developing and training, and we will get that very thing. Let's stop focusing too much on the experience. Let's focus more on how well are they able to run the process, the systems, and the team. So that is the advice. Now, if you do what I'm saying and you train the superintendent to really be able to run the systems and the processes, then he or she can build anything, because the process will take mediocre people and turn them into good leaders, and will take good leaders and turn them into excellent leaders. That's how a good process, well implemented, works. And I would rather have that than somebody that just has experience out of role doing the same thing over and over and does not have the growth mindset to expand. So that is where I'm going with this. What I would do from a personal standpoint and professional standpoint before I get into the actual list that I'm going to get into, I would be looking for cultural fit, growth mindset. Cultural fit, growth mindset. Those things, and I could teach them the rest. If I'm a good construction company, I can teach the rest. That's what they need to do, and they will excel. I have seen people go through our field engineer program and then the Super PM boot camp. 3 years out of the gate, they're running massive projects because they know the process. The foremen know the materials. The foremen know how it's going together. The foremen know their trade. You do not need to duplicate that and do that for them. So, having that out of the way, I think we should just get to the liking and subscribing, because you know I'm going to ask for it because I love you and I want you here, right here. Okay, let's do that, but let's get into a list. Now, if you have your general approach figured out, this is typically how you hire a superintendent. Number one, project needs. Now, this leans more into the experience realm of things, and so I don't want to go there too much. Like, if you're doing a civil project, you probably want somebody with some civil experience. If you're doing an industrial project, you probably want somebody with some industrial experience, or a hospital, or whatever the case may be. I will again say that I personally value somebody who's really great at the process and the system over that, but you first need to know, what are you needing the superintendent for? You're choosing a superintendent, what do you need them for? This would be the class of construction, the size of the project, the complexity of the project, and the location. You'll definitely want to choose an applicant or somebody internally, I'll loop that into the overall conversation, that can do the job, has a bit of experience with it, and can manage that size of team. Number two, outline the job requirements. This needs to be very, very clear. I recommend for everyone you're going to hire, have a scorecard listing exactly what they need to be in charge of. I would actually have a second sheet showing where the job is and where the living conditions will be, any other pertinent information. Make sure that's clear so the applicant inside your organization or outside of your organization knows exactly what they're signing up for, and you can have a two-way conversation. Three, recruitment and sourcing. There's some really great books on this. I'm going to give you one reference, How to Hire Better People Faster. Fantastic book. It talks exactly about this process. I also have some other contacts that will really help you with your recruiting and hiring process. But the bottom line is, you will want to recruit, you will want to put out advertisements, you will want to source possible candidates inside your organization and out. Four, evaluate the candidates against the scorecard, go through their experience. You're really going to want to get a feel for their alignment to the culture and their job history and basically their overall mindset. I love the idea of not negatively but positively putting them on the spot and giving them real life scenarios, real life situations to actually practice and demonstrate their capability instead of just talking. I love what Gary Vee said. He said, when you're hiring, at best you're guessing. When you fire, you know. Don't beat yourself up too much about it. It's pretty easy to get a candidate that's not a good fit and doesn't have the capability. But you will want to improve your recruiting and hiring systems as best as you possibly can. Five, conduct interviews. This is your time to get really connected with them and to ask the appropriate questions, to look at their body language, to see how they respond to things. That interview is huge. And I love the idea that you do kind of like a 360 interview where you have multiple rounds for the interview and you have multiple people coming in and doing the interview, getting a wider perspective. You can do a red, yellow, green scoring system, but really, really make sure that you're hiring the right people based on the best knowledge and the wisdom of the team. Number six, establish that this individual is a cultural fit. Your interviews should be doing that. If people feel comfortable with this individual, it should help. And to make sure that they're super aligned with your core values, the vision and mission of your company, clearly articulated. This is huge because you will hire or fire based on whether or not they're a core value fit. And then you'll go into an offer and the negotiation. You'll do your hiring and onboarding, and then provide ongoing support. Now, that ongoing support is key. Don't just throw them out there to flounder. Even the most experienced of us can freak out in the first 6 weeks, being a part of a new culture, new way of thinking, new way of doing work, new people, new systems, new programs. Stay with them. But after about 3 months, you should be able to tell if this person knows what they're doing and if they're a cultural fit, and know whether or not you've chosen the right superintendent. I'm going to give you in the description below, in a blog format and in a Canva graphic actually, a list of these considerations so that you can choose appropriately your superintendent for the project that you need. I hope you've enjoyed this video. On we go.